Look at the Lakers as a whole, it's a franchise that is one of the best in the world, not just in the NBA, but the world. And so, if you ever have the opportunity to wear the purple and gold, you can't turn that down. As a coach, as a player, because they're all about championships. And so, they have a process. They had a young team.
You just mentioned team. That team alone held LeBron James to 17 points a game in the finals. How did you guys collectively slow him down?
That's a question he's going to have to answer. I think, for the game plan was just...
Jason Kidd just shocked the basketball world, and it felt like a betrayal no one saw coming. A former teammate of LeBron, someone who shared the locker room and championship dreams with him, Kidd broke the unwritten code of silence. And he didn't just criticize LeBron's game. He questioned his leadership in a way legends have quietly warned about for years. This didn't happen on national TV or in a heated press conference. It happened on a Mavericks-owned radio station during a calm, off-season interview about Dallas' future. Kidd was relaxed, talking about how hard it is to manage superstar egos today compared to his playing days. Then the host shifted the conversation to leadership styles around the league. That's when Kidd paused. His tone changed. He talked about two types of leadership: leading by example through daily work and leading by expectation, where you demand excellence from everyone around you. He said he's seen both. When asked to explain, Kidd brought up Dirk Nowitzki. Dirk led by consistency, silence, and effort. He never pointed fingers. He was the standard. Then Kidd turned to LeBron. He called LeBron incredibly talented and a basketball genius, but said his leadership is different. According to Kidd, it's conditional. It works when everything around LeBron is exactly how he wants it. When it's not, the leadership disappears. The organization feels it. Teammates feel it. Kidd made it clear he wasn't denying LeBron's greatness. He was questioning the cost of his leadership style. The radio host didn't say a word. And Kidd finished with a line that hit hard. "We warned people about this years ago. Those of us who've been in the trenches, the players from my era, the guys who built teams on grit first, we saw it coming. You can't build a lasting culture on something that can opt out, shift blame, or rely on power more than shared responsibility. We try to warn people, but the highlights were too flashy and the stats were too big. Now you see the cost. Teams that flare up and fade out. Constant turnover. That's the price." With those words, Jason Kidd did the unthinkable. A man who stood on the 2008 Olympic podium with LeBron, who battled with him and against him, took years of private skepticism from elite players and made it public. He didn't call LeBron a bad teammate. He called him a different kind of leader. And in his view, a fundamentally flawed one. Most damaging of all, Kidd claimed this wasn't new. It was an old warning from the league's elders that people chose to ignore. The interview clip, now labeled Kidd's leadership takedown, wasn't just a viral moment. It was a manifesto from inside the castle walls.
The Mamba mentality simply means trying to be the best version of yourself. That's what the mentality means. It means every day, you're trying to become better. And it's a constant quest. It's an infinite quest.
We talk about being passionate, being obsessive, being relentless, being resilient, and being fearless. These are the 5 pillars of the...
Jason Kidd's comments didn't happen in isolation. They lit a fuse. Suddenly, other legendary voices from the past started speaking up, not to defend Kidd directly, but to back up the warning behind his words. It felt like Kidd had finally given them permission to say what they'd been holding in for years. First came a quiet but telling comment from a retired Eastern Conference star, a player from Kidd's era, during a podcast. Talking about topics players aren't supposed to touch, he said, "People get mad when you bring this up. But there's a reason some guys, for all their greatness, leave behind a trail of rebuilt franchises. That's not random. It's a style. And that style shines bright, but it also burns out the people and systems around it. We all talked about it. We knew." Then a Hall of Fame big man, known for being blunt, was asked a simple question about team chemistry on a radio show. Instead of giving a safe answer, He went off script. You want chemistry? Look at the Spurs dynasty. Look at the 90s Bulls. That's leadership built on sacrifice, not convenience. Today, you've got guys who want to be CEOs of the team. A CEO replaces people when things go wrong. A captain stays with the crew and fixes the ship. Two different mindsets. One builds legends. The other builds great individual resumes. And just like that, Kidd's words didn't sound like an attack anymore. They sounded like a long-standing belief the league's elders had finally stopped hiding. The host, clearly caught off guard, asked if the legend was talking about anyone in particular. He just smiled and said, "The game knows." Then, a clip resurfaced from a 2014 interview with the late Kobe Bryant. At the time, his words seemed generic, but now, in the context of the Kidd debate, they hit like a prophecy. Kobe said, "My legacy is tied to this city, to this logo. I fought with the people here to build something that lasted. I didn't carry my legacy like a suitcase looking for the best place to unpack it. I built it in one place, with the mortar of other people's sweat and trust. That's the only kind that doesn't wash away in the rain." The suitcase comment went viral instantly, framed as a pointed critique of LeBron's journey. Kidd hadn't just spoken for himself. He had tapped into a silent consensus among the old guard. These were players whose idea of leadership was forged in the pre-social media, pre-super team era. One by one, their nods of agreement made it clear. The warnings about LeBron's transactional, power-centric leadership style had been visible for over a decade. Suddenly, this wasn't Jason Kidd versus LeBron anymore. It was the legend's verdict versus the modern king. And their judgment was unmistakable. For all its brilliance and shine, LeBron's kingdom had been built on unstable ground.
About to find out, I used to talk about him all over the FBI and say he illustrates what the endless pursuit of excellence looks like. I don't want to offend anybody, but he's the best basketball player on the earth today. There may be, people have different views. I'm sorry, year 15.
So you can't make anybody happy.
No, year 15 for LeBron, and he is still the king, the top of the game. But every offseason.
I played against the Miami Bron. You had your moments when you were in Toronto against the Cleveland Bron. How did he?
To really understand Kidd's slam and why other legends nodded along, you have to unpack what they mean by transactional. It's a cold, corporate term, but they're using it to describe a basketball heart. Their critique isn't about effort or talent. It's about the unspoken contract LeBron is perceived to have with his team. First condition, the roster. From the old-school perspective, LeBron's full legendary commitment, the kind that turns a group into a brotherhood, only kicks in when the pieces around him meet a certain championship-ready standard. Think about the bubble year. The roster was tailor-made with shooters, defenders, and a co-star in AD. In that setup, his leadership was undeniable, a gravitational force that pulled everyone into orbit. But when the roster is flawed, aging, or injured, the legends say something shifts. The investment feels guarded, patience shortens, and the signals, both public and private, change. Instead of "we'll figure this out," there's a silent frustration. The tools he's given aren't enough. In the old-school view, true leadership is constant. It elevates whatever you have. LeBron's, they argue, becomes variable, dependent on the front office's competence. Second part, the leverage of silence. Kidd alluded to this. It's not fiery speeches in a huddle. It's subtler. The turn back during timeouts, the cryptic social media silence during trade drama, the bench body language broadcasting disconnect. To his critics, this isn't just frustration. It's a strategic tool, a way to apply pressure without saying a word. It signals to management that the unspoken contract has been violated. Leadership, in this sense, isn't inspiration. It's negotiation, corporate communication performed on the public stage. Finally, shared accountability. This is the part that sets old-school leadership apart. The expectation that every player, coach, and executive rises together, with a leader as the constant, not the variable. If you want, I can rewrite the next part explaining the shared accountability critique in the same clear, punchy style, so it flows perfectly with this section. Do you want me to do that? The old-school version of leadership, as described by guys like Kidd, who played with Dirk Nowitzki, was all about absorbing the blame. The star took the heat so the role players could play freely. The leader was the constant, the calm center that kept the team steady no matter the storm. It wasn't transactional. It wasn't conditional. It was ownership through accountability, letting everyone around him shine while carrying the weight himself.